So why don't we do tell me, how do I get to the podcast, and when is it?
We're we're every, what is it, the second Tuesday of every month, and it's usually at 11 o'clock. And we had a little bump in the road the other day, but we've gotten back on track. And if they want to know, they can just go to our website, Stowe Management Corporation, estomanagement.com, and join us.
That's right. We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
You know about that.
We've got you everywhere. You're from Spotify to YouTube. You're everywhere. What I do want to do, though, Mark, is before we're done, I want to make sure that you've made sure that you've said everything you wanted to say about this topic, because this always creating value for so many people, and you being in the world of CPA comes down to add and subtract. And while there is an add and subtract value, it's not math driven. It's driven by communication, it's driven by people, and it's driven by having someone drive it like yourself, who has the ability, and your team, to have a vision for what can be possible. So let's just close with, your superpower. And I've seen your superpower, and I know what you're best at. Let's just talk about how subtle that is for just 1 second.
Well, it's kind of interesting that I didn't learn about this till years after I've been doing this for years. But the whole concept of management was started by a lady called Mary Parker Fowler. And she said, the answer to a situation and to a solution lies within the situation. And that it should not be manipulated by the power of the organizational structure. In other words, the boss in the room, the manager in the room, and everybody else is as equal to contribute to the process. It doesn't mean that the responsibilities are not with that manager or with that owner. But when it comes to the contribution and the development, it is, everybody is ultimately equal in that process. And the biggest challenge that we have, and the thing that I think I add, coincidentally add more value to, is doing just that, is making sure that those voices are heard in a way that maybe they don't have to struggle as hard. Maybe that, like our conversation the other day, that individual was popping out things that they had never thought about before without anybody having to drill down on that person. Most of what can add value is sitting there already. And and again, I think we live in a world that says no to a lot of things. Says, no, this is my idea. And I'm going to do it. I did it before, and I did it someplace else before, and now we're going to do it here. Well, I've never met a situation that I haven't had to come up with something unique about this situation to make it work, to really make it work. I talk about that music company where I had everybody go off those 7 departments. I've never used that again. I never had to use it. The situation was, other situations, that was a unique situation. I wouldn't want to apply. I wouldn't want to walk in and say, okay, you've got all these emotional issues and problems with each other and whatever, and so I'm going to make you do a 2.5-hour thing. It wasn't be right. Because it didn't have, it wasn't, this sounds probably kind of weird, but it wasn't asking for it. It didn't need that. It needed that situation needed that. Another situation needs another application, and you need to honor that. And you need to honor those people. And that's probably my biggest passion, is honoring the situation, honoring the company, and honoring the individuals that can do so much more than oftentimes they're allowed to do.
I want you to answer this statement. Always, and it's got to be in 10 words or less, always creating value means to me.
right off the top of my head, it means it's always showing up for the betterment of all.